Coming up on this episode of DL Weekly, more story information about Tiana's Bayou adventure. An Imagineer talks blue sky, more magic for Wondrous Journeys.
A new show is coming to the Hyperion. Great Moments gets plussed. We talk to seen unseen author Russ and more. DL Weekly starts now.
Well, hello there. Welcome to our unbirthday party. For your safety, please be sure to stay listening with your hands, arms, feet, and ears inside the podcast. And please, do give Tag and Teresa easier trivia questions. Well, it seems DL Weekly is about to begin. Have a most wonderful time. Perhaps tea time.
Hello and welcome to this episode of DL Weekly for the week of February 8th, 2023. I'm Teresa Urban.
And I'm Tag Bushman. We'd like to send a shout out and a big thank you to all the current weekly tiers, including Adam T., Sandra A., Joanna A., and Kylie B. for supporting the show. Without your support, DL Weekly wouldn't be possible. Your support ensures the podcast will continue and that we can make it to the parks more often to bring you the latest news and information directly from the parks. If you'd like to become an official weekly tier yourself, head on over to dlweekly.net/support to sign up. And if you don't want to sign up on a recurring subscription, you can also go buy us a churro at dlweekly.net/churro.
Our friends over at All Enchanting Ears have been busy. They make fun and unique ears, plus ear holders, straw toppers, lithophanes, and so much more. We actually just were gifted some of their brand new design. It's for the Disney 100. They're beautiful. We have a live stream going on right now, so we're showing those off to our patrons that are joining us. But they're so cool. They're like iridescent looking. Very, very cool. You should try them out. And if you do want to purchase, they are offering a special discount code available to all weekly tiers. So be sure to use code DLWeekly10 for 10% off your purchase. Head on over to allenchantineers.com and check them out.
Now let's get to the news.
New storyline details have been released for the upcoming Tiana's Bayou adventure, replacing Splash Mountain. In the queue, guests will follow the story of how Tiana grew her business with Tiana's Foods, an employee-owned cooperative. Combining her talents with those of the local community, Tiana has transformed an aging salt mine and built a beloved brand.
Man, so the Disney Parks blog, which we have linked in the show notes, has a fairly lengthy article on this entire backstory with Tiana, and it's kind of interesting because the long and short of it, you can read the whole thing on the link in our show notes, but basically you're gonna go help Tiana find missing ingredients for her party in the Bayou, and I don't know, that doesn't sound thrilling like Splash Mountain is.
So the storyline basically is, we know that Tiana has opened her restaurant, and this is kind of the, what was next for Tiana. She didn't just, the restaurant wasn't the end of her career. She decided to open Tiana's Foods, and she has Tiana's a hot sauce brand and all sorts of fun. So I know that we try and remain positive, and I know that we've been very, very excited for the transformation of Splash into Tiana's Bayou adventure. I'm a little hesitant with this storyline because I don't know, like Tag said, bouncing around in that little log boat looking for ingredients. I'm having trouble kind of picturing this as an attraction. I 100%, when we first knew that the new theming was going to be based on The Princess and the Frog, my brain easily went to exactly how the story from the movie could be transformed into a great story for specifically that attraction. And I'm curious. I'm still trying to remain optimistic, since obviously this is just words on paper, and that's going to translate differently for the attraction, but I'm not seeing it, if that makes sense.
One thing that did help me with this, I'm still very sad that the tree will be gone from the top of Splash Mountain, which in the concept art on the Disney Parks blog, which we have linked to the show notes, it is missing. And we saw that at D23.
It was missing at the D23 model.
But I will say that it does sound like a better storyline, because they said the endeavor began when Tiana purchased the salt mine. So it's supposed to now be a salt mine and the area surrounding it. And basically that she revived the salt mine and the surrounding land, which now grows a variety of vegetables, herbs, and spices, which I can see in my mind. There's all those nice little
I can
plateaus around the mountain that you could do all that stuff with. The last time I was iffy about something, it was Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout. And we ended up loving it.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I think we just have to wait and see and try to be optimistic and hope that it turns out good. But I agree with you. Why couldn't they just do the story of Princess and the Frog?
Can you imagine bouncing along on the log, going down the bayou, playing that's just such a fun and happy song, and I just feel like it would go over so well. They have the original concept art that still included the tree, and Mama Odie's boat was stuck up in the tree, which worked
no boat now
absolutely perfectly. And I'm just thinking about how amazing scenes with Dr. Facilier and all of his voodoo magic and all that, the I've got friends on the other side. I feel like that would have been yes, that would have been great for that. And then the end could have been the transformation of Tiana and Naveen back into their human. I saw
on the boat even.
I was bought into it. So I'm just hesitant about this one. I'm hesitant.
Yeah. We'll have to see what it turns out to be. We don't know. It might turn out well. I'm hoping they keep a lot of...
Is Ray going to be there? Because they had all this beautiful concept art with the fireflies and stuff, which I thought was going to be gorgeous as well. So, I mean, in the continued story, of course, spoiler, Ray passes away in the movie. So if this is the continuation of the story, Ray's not going to be there. He's a cute little firefly, of course.
But Evangeline.
And maybe there'll be a nod to him and Evangeline and a nighttime sky scene or something. But
all I gotta say is, if you're talking about the fireflies, I wish that they would fix the fireflies in Pirates of the Caribbean. But anyway, we'll have to see. Speaking of what we'd like to see in blue sky stuff, a blue sky attraction idea was posted on Twitter this last week by Imagineer Jim Schull. The attraction idea is for an Oswald and Hortensia attraction. The attraction would have taken the place of Roger Rabbit's cartoon Spin, keeping the ride system, but using projection mapping and painting the sets in a 1920s black and white, which sounds kind of cool.
It would have been really interesting, and I think it would have made sense in Toontown especially, and it would have tied in with the rest of the land very well. Of course, I mean, I don't think we need to kick Roger Rabbit out. I do enjoy Roger Rabbit's cartoon Spin. And as we discussed, was that last week? No, week before, as we discussed, the whole land was kind of inspired by the Roger Rabbit movie, so it makes sense for Roger to have a place there. But this could have been cool, especially having an Oswald attraction right next to Mickey and Minnie's attraction. That would have been a really fun balance and the
fact that they were with the Lunar New Year, they were really pushing Oswald, and it seemed like since they got the rights back to Oswald, they've kind of been having Oswald show up more in the parks.
Yeah.
So what a great place than to put Oswald in Toontown next to Mickey and Minnie, because that, Mickey started it all, but kind of Oswald started it before that. So I don't know. I think that it'd be really interesting. And one of the things that the former Imagineer said was that it was blue sky, and they were trying to do it in such a way that was going to be in such a way that would be cost effective.
Yeah. He also clarified this was his personal blue sky project, and it wasn't something that was in the works and Disney decided to do something different. So personal blue sky, but still very, very cool.
Would be really cool.
There will still be some extra magic on non-fireworks nights for Wondrous Journeys, the new Disney 100 Nighttime Spectacular at Disneyland. Both Baymax and the Blue Fairy is reported to fly every night with or without fireworks. Wondrous Journeys is scheduled to be projections only on weeknights with fireworks on weekends and holidays.
I didn't even consider that they would do Baymax and the Blue Fairy without fireworks. I think it's wonderful. I love that they'll keep a lot, they're really just getting rid of the fireworks aspect on those weeknights. Yeah. And I think that's a great idea if they're, to not take away that other aspect of it with these characters out there. So it seems like whoever's the team's in charge of Wondrous Journeys seems like they made some good choices here. Oh boy, here we go. We got some rumor roundup kind of going on. A casting call for actors for a new show at Disneyland is getting everyone excited, and there is plenty of rumors on what the show will be. The casting call lists singers and actors and dancers for a limited-time show in the Hyperion Theater. In the posting, the new show is described as an exciting new Broadway-caliber theatrical production. There is speculation that it could be a Hercules show, among other options.
I mean, right, the wheels are turning on what this could be. First and foremost, yes, something is coming back. I don't even know, like, my initial gut reaction. I don't even care what is coming. I am so happy
100%
that a show is coming back to the Hyperion. So happy. Now, if I was in charge of the universe, one of the rumors, I secretly hope, and don't come for me, but I don't really want Rogers the Musical to come. I feel like with Aladdin and what we had with Frozen, even though, yes, I did it, of the two, Aladdin was my favorite. These were kind of like mini Broadway style shows, and
really well done
and beautiful and all that. Whereas Rogers the Musical, while yes, it's fun, and the people I've seen perform the one song, they're very well, it's fun and they're very talented performers. I just don't see this being a full show. I mean, I could be wrong. But one of the things that was interesting is in the casting call, they did have a list of parts that they were looking for, which is where the rumors, of course, started going. So role number 1 is a featured principal, 3 female identifying roles, 20s to 50s, all style of vocal range, proficient with harmonization and ability to sing in many styles. Fun, energetic, and musical sisterhood that acts the occasional quote-unquote Greek chorus.
Now, Greek chorus, I saw a lot of people online talk about how a Greek chorus is a type of chorus. Like, it's not like going to be...
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And then we also have role 2, which is a featured principal, female identifying, mid-20s to early 30s, a mezzo-soprano, resourceful and intelligent, strong English accent.
See, I don't know. I feel like we're trying to read tea leaves, right?
Oh no! The more I'm okay.
What do you think?
I'm thinking it. I do think Hercules.
You think Hercules?
Does that not sound like Meg? Resourceful and intelligent.
But who had the English accent? Meg didn't have an English accent.
She what?
Like a British English accent?
I don't know. Vocal range for number 3 featured principal is a male, 17 to 20, and it says young man coming into his greatness.
I don't know. I think because it's a limited run, I feel like if it was something like Hercules, it'd be a longer run. But when they say limited run, it makes me think of it would be funny to do like a Rogers the Musical ridiculousness.
I don't think it is, though, because 17 to 20? I don't know.
I think that it's pointless to try to figure it out.
I think it is, too.
But there's lots of, I'll tell you, man, people that sit and look at the casting calls and stuff, like they sit down and they're like, let's go look at the Disney casting call today. Oh my goodness. And then the whole internet is erupted.
Yeah. Okay. So we've got 3 besides our chorus, we have 1 female identifying principal and then 3 male identifying principals, ranging from the first male is 17 to 20, second male is 30 to 40, and the third male is 20s to 30s. And we have a young man coming into his greatness. We have someone who is decisive, capable, principled, and has a wry sense of humor, leads others with attitude and swagger. This is where they're getting Rogers the Musical from. Leads others with attitude and swagger. But then a noble do-gooder is the last one. Loyal, idealistic, and a romantic do-gooder. Does not give up easily.
How about Emperor's New Groove?
3 males, though.
You have Pasha, Kronk, and
Yzma would be our...
Yzma.
Who's our chorus, though? Our chorus seems...
Well, they sing like there's music to sing, so they could have a thing. I'm just saying, it's a possibility.
Yeah, I just don't know. Because now I'm talking myself out of Hercules.
Hunchback?
Maybe, because you've got the 3... Okay, so maybe. So Hunchback, you've got the 3 gargoyles, which we have a 3 female identifying roles in the movie. It's 1 female, 2 males, but I mean.
But here's the question:
either way, you have 1 female lead, but then you've got You've got Frollo. You've got
Quasimodo.
No, yeah, Quasimodo. But I'm trying to think of the her love interest. What's her?
I don't know, because I don't know that movie very well. Maybe it's something more contemporary. Like, we keep thinking of like these older things that are from our childhood. What's going on? Like, could it be something more recent?
I don't know.
Would this somehow fit into Coco, or I guess not Encanto, but I don't know. I think we could spend Phoebus.
Oh, yeah. Phoebus. That's it. Phoebus. Thank you.
So I think we could speculate all day. We should just wait and see what happens.
We could speculate all day, which is fun. Let us know what your thoughts are, because, yeah, I could see this going a couple of different ways.
Yeah.
A new addition to Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln has debuted. A new National Geographic pre-show, narrated by ABC anchor Robin Roberts, provides guests a deeper look into Frederick Douglass's legacy as a former slave who rose to be a powerful leader in the abolitionist movement and the relationship between Douglass and Lincoln. Testimonials from Douglass's third great-grandson, Keith B. Morris, Jr., and Dr. John Stauffer, a leading expert on anti-slavery in the Civil War era, are also included.
So this is neat because
it's super neat.
A few months ago, we got the portrait and the bust of Frederick Douglass there, and now we have this video and stuff that goes along with it that includes members of his family or extended family. So I think this is so neat that they have done this, and yeah, it's just, I think it's pretty cool.
I'm excited to, next time we're there, to go check this out and learn more. That's the thing that's so cool. I mean, a lot of people kind of overlook Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln and, well, the Opera House stuff in general, but it's just really, really neat to me that you can, like, what theme park do you get to go and learn history thing? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's a really cool thing to have, and I love that they're adding to it so that, you know, they're expanding, they're telling us more of the story and including others in the story as well, and I just love that. Who knew going to a theme park that I would learn more about our country's history? I think, you know what I mean?
I mean, that's what Disney is all about, right? Is you get educated and get entertainment. Well, Magic Key holders have another exclusive souvenir to pick up at the parks. The Magic Key Ear Hat Bowl is available for purchase with certain food items throughout the resort. Currently, the bowls are available at Smoke Jumper's Grill with the purchase of a bacon cheeseburger loaded fries, or at Clarabelle's Ice Cream with the purchase of the chocolate brownie sundae.
These feel familiar, but also maybe slightly different. I know we've had these ear hat bowls before. I think this is a slightly different style. It's almost like these ear hat bowls are kind of becoming like the new popcorn bucket or the new limited time sipper type thing. They're not quite as elaborate, but they're still really fun.
Yeah. These are neat, but I don't know if there's something that like I need.
Yeah, I don't feel like it's something I need, but I think it's cute.
I couldn't find anywhere that there was a price for these either.
I'm sure it depends on what it is you're getting.
Oh, sure. Okay.
A new novel item has arrived at the Disneyland Resort, a gift card wristband for Lunar New Year 2023, which can be loaded with any amount from $15 all the way up to $1,000. The gift card features rounded edges and is connected to a wristband. This makes it convenient to use around the resort without having to pull out your wallet or credit card as often.
These are kind of neat. I like the fact that I won't have to like look through my wallet for something like this. It's real convenient that it would just kind of hang. It's one of those like spiral, you know, I feel like a lot of people have keys and stuff hanging off of these if you work in an environment that has keys that you hand off to people, kind of a thing. Kind of neat. Have we not seen these? But I feel like that this should have been around.
This seems like something that they use more frequently at Walt Disney World.
Sure.
Because at Disneyland and DCA, whenever we have these food festivals, we get the fun tasting cards.
That's true.
I don't believe Walt Disney World, when they have their food festivals, have the sip and savor passes.
I wonder why not.
I think it's because there's just so many booths.
Oh, I mean, that's probably true.
But it is I have seen the wristbands for those festivals, so then you're not at least having to dig your wallet out each time you go to one of those booths to make it a little more convenient.
I know we talked a little bit about this last week, but I had to talk about it again. One of our favorite eateries has reopened in downtown Disney and is more convenient than ever. Earl of Sandwich reopened its doors on February 1st last week and is a nice upgrade from the former location. The new location in the old La Brea Bakery is so close to the gates of Disneyland, making it a great quick stop when park hopping. There's plenty of outdoor shaded seating inside the bar area of the former bakery is expected to reopen under Earl management at some point. I like this. It seems
Tons of seating.
Yeah, it
outside,
seems
looks
like, and it's shaded. Not that the old one wasn't that shaded, but like this one, you're so close to the front gates. It's great for people watching. Mm-hmm. I was looking at the photos from this, and I kind of just want to go have a sandwich at Earl because it's so good.
What do you mean? Like you're gonna fly out to California? Okay.
No, like I wish we had an Earl sandwich around here.
Yes, definitely. They're just so tasty. My favorite sandwich there is the caprese sandwich. It is so yummy.
Oh, very excited because they have Pib.
It's so crazy to me how I think it's great, but it's also so crazy to me how quickly they were able to kind of flip the La Brea location into, Earl, because it's not like it was the same type
layout or anything.
Yeah, it's not like it's the same type of restaurant, but I'm just so happy that it's back. I kind of wish that it could stay here permanently, but I'm also really excited for Portos. So maybe we just need to build another restaurant. Like can we just have both of them close to the parks?
You know what they really need? And I guess I understand why they haven't done this, but I wish they'd put some type of food establishment on the other side of the Esplanade, like one little like.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And they would make a killing, I think, because people coming or going. Like if you had like an outdoor vending cart or something, I think they'd make a lot of money there.
Or you could, since ticket booths are kind of on their way out, you do now have space where ticket booths are currently, that you could maybe have a grab and go type location. That
I don't know why Disney hasn't done this already, to be honest with you.
Maybe it's in the works.
Maybe.
Who knows? Run Disney Weekly Tiers. Get your running gear and running ears ready, as Disney has announced details and pricings for the Disneyland Half Marathon. A 5K, 10K, half marathon, kids race, and more will take place from January 11th through the 14th, 2024. Events that guests can sign up for include Disneyland Yoga, the Dumbo Double Dare, and virtual races. For a complete list of events, pricing, and registration dates, check out the link in our show notes.
Okay, so I want to talk about Disneyland Yoga for a minute. So it's only on January 11th. Registration fee is $108.99, but you get to do yoga and stretching with a view of Sleeping Beauty Castle before the park opens. And you get a 1 hour instructor led, you get a yoga mat, you get a complimentary water, which you're paying $109, so it's not complimentary. But special photo opportunities, appearances by Disney characters. You do have to exit the park at the end and then come back later for when the park's regularly open. But that's kind of a neat idea to be in there by the castle and everything.
That would be beautiful. That'd be very, very cool. The 5K, which is going to take place on January 12th, the fees do vary based on the date of purchase, but if you sign up right away, it's $108.99. Registration opens February 14th, 2023 at 7 a.m. Pacific. Unless you are Club Run Disney Gold and Platinum, your registration began on February 7th at 7 a.m. That's very cool. But the 5K is a 3.1 mile course through the Disneyland Resort. I don't believe we have maps yet. There are previous year's maps online. There's a 5K finishers medal, of course, character sightings and entertainment throughout the race, on-course and post-race refreshments, a shirt, Digital Expo and event guide, and there's a downloadable finisher certificate as well.
Yep, and for the 10K that takes place the next day on January 13th, same thing with the registration fee. If you get it before just July 17th, it's $148.99.
I see what they did there.
Yeah. So same Platinum Disney Gold registration already open. February 14th at 7 a.m. Pacific is when general registration opens. It's a 6.2 mile course through the resort and through the surrounding area. And you get a lot of the same stuff. Then there's the Run Disney Kids Races, which is a $35 registration fee. That's also on January 13th.
How fun is this? Kids Races will be broken down into the following age groups: 0 to 1.
What?
1 to 3. 4 to 6. And ages 7 to 9.
Okay, 0 to 1 and 1 to 3.
Is it like a diaper dash, you think?
I don't know, but that would be really...
I'm excited about this.
Interesting. And then there's the half marathon, which is on January 14th. The registration deadline, same kind of thing, $234.99, 13.1 around Disneyland Resort and iconic Anaheim destinations.
Ooh. And then the Dumbo Double Dare, which takes place January 13th and 14th. Registration, when it opens, will be $389. This is fun because this includes 2 races. It's the 10K and the half marathon.
That's a lot.
So you earn the 10K medal, the half marathon medal, and Dumbo Double Dare medal.
Wow.
Super, super fun. And then, of course, there's virtual options, too, if you're not able to make it out to the resort to join in on the in-person fun. And the virtual options, the 5K is $85, 10K is $106, and the virtual half marathon's $126. All get a participant shirt and a finisher's medal.
And they also have a virtual Dumbo Double Dare for $270.
I skipped that. And they come with a virtual playlist. That's kind of fun, too.
So if you're into running and you've been waiting for Disneyland to come back, now's the time.
Can I say I am very excited and really love, this is so stupid. I really, really love the logo, though. I love the logo that they have for the event because it's a fun play on the original Disneyland sign.
Oh, this one here?
I think it's so cute. I love it. I really, really love it.
They've kind of been doing that with a lot of things lately, haven't they? With that kind of
I don't
retro
know.
Disneyland sign. That's the word I was looking for. Well, guests traveling to New Orleans Square from Main Street have an additional path to follow once again. The pathway that was being worked on between Adventureland and New Orleans Square has been completed and is open again for guest use. The area in front of the upcoming Adventureland tree is still behind walls, but guests still have plenty of room to navigate the area. So, Teresa, what's your thoughts on this?
Tag knew I was triggered by this because I hadn't looked at it I hadn't looked at the photos of the path.
Mm-hmm. And what's up with the photos of the path, Teresa?
I'm very sad and I'm very disappointed that we have unthemed cement again, and it kind of looks like a patchwork quilt. It does not blend in to the existing cement in the areas around it, and it really makes me sad. I know everyone probably thinks that I'm crazy, that I get so
I don't think you're
disheartened
crazy
about cement walkways and how they appear, but I just feel like they do such an amazing job of theming so many different things, including the ground. You know, when you go to Frontierland, if you look down, it looks like there's horseshoe prints and it looks like mud. Like it's themed, and I love it. So I think that it just hurts my heart when they do these cement work projects to then have it unveiled and it's just like, oh, it's just plain boring gray cement with swirls in it. Like, and it's butted up to other areas in Adventureland that have like themed.
Well, even that New Orleans Square border, if you go up a little bit further, they've got the border.
I don't.
What bugs me about it, and I'm sure it's for traction purposes.
Oh, I get that. I'm fine with traction.
That half circle thing, it reminds me of the pavement that's in the Mickey and Friends structure. Yeah. And to me, that is the least Disney cement anywhere. So the fact that this is now all up and down this, I do wish that they'd go back to more of the themed concrete work, and I'm not sure why they haven't. It does make me sad as well.
Like, I get it. I'm all for traction. We do not want slipping, and we do not want falling.
Correct. But aren't you happy it's back open?
I mean, yes.
Okay.
Positive note, the pathway is back open. Adventureland is no longer a dead end. You can go all the way through to enjoy the other lands as well, but
I also just want to mention,
sad.
Because it came up today, we have not tried it yet, but I think I've mentioned somewhere, maybe on this podcast before, about the Riverbell Terrace breakfast potatoes, and I think I might have found a recipe for it. So stay tuned. I will let you guys know.
I like how we're talking about cement and you're like,
because I saw in the background of there was the Riverbell Terrace, so it made me think of it. So I wanted to share with our audience that there's a possibility that I might have found the holy grail of breakfast potato recipes.
I would say your holy grail.
My holy
breakfast potatoes. It's the never-ending saga.
I'm just saying, you never had them, so you don't know. Anyway.
Well, just a reminder of other great food, not just breakfast potatoes, but there are some fun food and beverage options at the resort for Valentine's. Of course, link in our show notes that show off some of the options.
I know we talked about some of these things.
Some of them were specific to Sweethearts Night that we talked about before.
I don't know, man. Ooh.
There's a strawberry cheesecake pretzel.
God, that black
That's
cap.
That's new with strawberry dipping sauce. And there's a strawberry cookies and cream churro. These are available in outdoor carts in Frontierland.
Teresa, what this is like a heart attack on a cup. It's a black tap.
I haven't even gotten there.
I know, but red velvet cake shake, a red velvet cake batter shake with vanilla frosted rim with red and white sprinkles, topped with a slice of red velvet cake.
I don't even know how you walk. Like, how do you get that to your table?
You
without
don't. You just
falling?
eat it. You just eat it. Okay, sorry. Where were you at? Let me scroll back up.
So in DCA, Clarabelle's hand scooped ice cream, there's a sweetheart sundae, chocolate and strawberry ice cream topped with strawberry sauce, whipped cream, a chocolate dipped strawberry, and Valentine sprinkles served in a chocolate waffle cup.
I will say that a lot of these are only available from February 10th through the 14th, just so you to also mention
and
that
Valentine sprinkles as well. Lamplight Lounge has all sorts of fun drinks, though. We have a Toast to Love flight, which is 3 miniature cocktails featuring a spicy cocktail, a bitter cocktail, and a sweet cocktail.
They have something called The Flame, which is
yummy.
a Bacardi raspberry rum, peach schnapps, mango puree, raspberry puree, lime juice, Sprite, and firewater bitters with a chili lime rum.
I'm curious about that. We also have The X. Which is
I like the
made
theming.
with absolute citron vodka, spicy bitters, blackberry, lemonade, agave nectar, and lemon juice.
And finally, The Love That Lasts a Lifetime, which is a Bacardi raspberry rum, St. George. I don't know how to pronounce that. Orgeat, raspberry puree, pineapple juice, and Sprite.
This one sounds okay. I take it back. Of the 4 here, I think The Love That Lasts a Lifetime sounds the most delicious to me. No pun intended there, but the ingredients for that beverage sound like they're up my alley.
Yeah, so they have some good stuff.
And then all sorts of stuff in downtown Disney as well.
Check out the link in the show notes for the full list if you want to catch that. Again, it's only going to be there for a little bit, so if you're not going in the next few days, you're probably going to miss it. Well, Disney Plus celebrated Lunar New Year at Disney California Adventure last week, inviting Ben Wang, who stars in the upcoming American-born Chinese show on Disney Plus. Ben enjoyed all the festivities and, of course, the food. He even got to hang out with Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. For those interested, American-born Chinese is a genre-hopping action comedy based on the graphic novel of the same name by Jean Luen Yang, where Ben's character meets a new Chinese-born student on the first day of the school year and finds himself in a battle of Chinese mythological gods.
We saw at D23, one of the panels we attended, we saw the cast from American Born Chinese, and they also, this is like related, also not related. I'm so glad that we talked about this tonight, because when we were at that D23 panel and we saw the little snippet of the show, I thought it sounded so cool and I really wanted to watch it, but then I
forgot about it.
Well, I got distracted by it. I mean, there were so many things going on that weekend that it just kind of fell out of my brain. And as soon as they had this little special on the Disney Park blogs and they have this little video with Ben as well, it reminded me of that. But the little preview we saw it looks like a really great show. So I personally am really excited to check this show out. And I think it was a really fun promo to have one of the main characters go to DCA and talk about the show
during Lunar New Year.
And check out Lunar New Year. I think that's so fun.
Yeah, I am watching this now on our live stream and I'm saying, yes, I do kind of remember some of these now. I remember that there had been some talk. I remember the name of the show. Yeah,
when they were presenting it at D23, I don't think it had come out yet.
No, it's out in February, later in February.
Yep. So it was So it was one of those make a mental note. Well, that was months away, so I already forgot. But I'm so excited for this reminder. This is so cool.
Yeah, that's a really long promo that they had there.
It is.
I thought it was just going to be like a 30-second thing, but no.
DLWeekly announces the boarding of the Trivia Express, non-stop star speeder service to the moon of Endor. All passengers, please prepare for immediate boarding.
Hello, welcome to Trivia Land. I'm glad you're here. How are you two feeling this week?
I don't know how I should feel. I feel like every time I feel optimistic, it doesn't go well. Every time I don't care, it goes well. So I don't know.
I always go cautiously optimistic.
And you see, I'm going into this week thinking it could be Teresa's first perfect answer week of the year.
Well, no pressure.
Is it Haunted Mansion related?
It is not.
Okay.
But I feel like these questions are all doable. Especially if you two work together and embrace the power of friendship.
Are you writing?
Is this a theme?
I was gonna say, are you writing a story for Disney?
Something like that.
Okay. Embrace the power of friendship.
Because teamwork makes the dream work.
Oh, wow. And we've lost all of our listeners.
Yes. On our way, let's bring them back. Our first question this week. In an area of Tarzan's treehouse, rest in peace, 2 animated film characters are visiting who?
Oh.
Visiting, like, is it the like tiger leopard thing that was the tooth always broke on?
No. Think of characters from other movies. You told me I wasn't.
Oh,
if I know them, I'm not supposed
it was
to
Mrs.
spit it out.
Mrs. Pot and Chip.
Yep.
Teresa remembering from last time.
Yep.
Boom.
All right, question number 2 is an audio attraction. I have a short snippet from someone's ride through on an attraction, and I want you to tell me what attraction it is.
Oh, boy.
And I think this is a pretty easy one to start with to get you into these.
Is this
That sounds like Splash Mountain.
audio clip? It's one.
This is
It's
Splash
Mountain.
That's Splash Mountain. In fact, that's in the bee
Everybody's
buzz
got a laughing place.
thing right before time to be turning around.
That's you know what that I never I black that scene out of my head because every time we've just gotten soaked in the dark
Right before that.
and I always think that room always feels very extra cold to me, probably
Yep.
just because I'm soaking from the splash that just happened. So I genuinely do not if you gave me scenes from it, maybe I could piece together the order as to which how those characters, which character you see first. And
Sure.
that kind of, I know the sound of that room, but I'm usually too squirmy because I'm frozen and cold.
That has my favorite piece of music from the whole attraction because I love the ominous stay away. Anyway.
Something about the audio that just sinks
It's
you
great.
in, right? All right.
I honestly thought that was the video we took of
do you know what
Teresa
you could
going,
hear?
oh.
You could hear the terrible splash in the
Yep.
beginning of that audio clip.
Yep.
I wondered if it was too much, but
That's why I thought it was our clip. I'm like, is that us? Getting drenched.
Somebody was screaming like you screamed on it.
Yeah.
anyway, moving on. Our third question. There's a hidden reference in plain sight at Big Thunder Mountain's entrance. There you'll find a notice signed by Willard P. Bounds, U.S. Marshal. Who is this a tribute to? And no, I will not accept smart aleck answers of obviously Willard P. Bounds.
Do you
I
know
don't
this?
know this one. Willard
P.
Bounds. B-O-U.
NDS. Yep.
Willard.
Like bounding, but not.
Okay, wait a second. So this is a what?
There's
And
a
P-
notice.
P like potato.
Yep.
Wait. Stop. You're saying that this is
There's a notice near the entrance
but
signed by Willard P. Bounds, U.S. Marshal,
yeah.
which is a very good tribute to someone. This is quite the mood change from the laughing place.
Yeah, it is.
We're going to kick ourselves probably. Where is this sign located?
Near the entrance.
But
I
could
will
you be more
I will
specific?
Is that going to matter?
No, but I'm trying to think where it is. I feel like it's got to be a play on words, right? Like Willard would be. Is it like a Billy Hill reference? Like William, Willie, Bill?
I don't know. I don't know if I've ever even heard this little
No.
piece of trivia before. So it's not even I'm searching my brain and nothing.
James, is there a hint?
My only thought is that,
In real life, Willard P. Bounds was not only a marshal, but also a blacksmith
Yo, okay. I know.
in Idaho.
in Idaho.
Oh man, I don't know. Did he make the horseshoes for the horses on the mine train through Nature's Wonderland or something, or for the donkey ride or whatever? I give up. That's the closest guess you got.
Oh,
James.
I got a stumper in this week.
Well,
All right.
Teresa,
No,
you're stumped too.
I'm stumped.
Okay.
All right. Well, see if you can resolve yourself. Our last question comes from listener Devin D. And the question is, what rides, note the heavy audio air quotes, at the resort serve the purpose as transportation vehicles? Transportation vehicles being defined as a ride where you get on at one location and exit a different one, but don't think about that something as like Rise of the Resistance where you start in one place and get off another.
What
So
you're
you're thinking
saying,
like the monorail.
the monorail or the railroad or the Main Street vehicles, so the omnibus.
We'll count the Main Street vehicles as one collective.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. Main Street.
The
vehicles.
are you talking just Disneyland or DCA as well?
Resort as a whole.
Okay, so we've
Hang
got
Hang on, we're not done in Disneyland. We have the Columbia and
that gets off at the same spot.
Oh, you're
though.
right. Oh, the rafts then.
The
Tom
rafts,
Sawyer rafts.
I guess the rafts could count. You've got the trams to the parking structure.
Is that a ride? Like, are they?
He did air quotes of rides.
I feel like that's questionable.
Well, I just put it down. We're not going to get points off for guessing too many.
That's true.
You've got the red car trolley in DCA. I'm trying to think at DCA what gets off at different locations. I think that's it. There's nothing else. Because there's the Mickey and Friends tram, and then there was the other tram, but they've gotten rid of that now. That used to take it to
we're just
trams.
generically saying trams.
Okay, I think that's it.
Yeah, I'm thinking
monorail,
that's it too.
train. Yeah, everything else gets off at the same. Like it's all attraction contained.
Last chance. Any last thoughts?
I don't think so.
No.
I feel like by the way you're saying that we're forgetting something, but that's okay.
How dare I do that?
Yeah.
Make you doubt yourselves. And all this whole while, we're all still wondering, who is Willard P. Bones?
Yes.
Well, we have to wait until after our discussion topic this week to find out.
Well, this week for our discussion topic, we are speaking with the author of Seen, Unseen Disneyland, Russ Flores. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
This was, before we get into the fun questions, I just want to let you know, we have the book, we read the book, and
Awesome.
I loved it. And now I need to get to the second, because you have, is there two?
There's
Correct? Two, yep.
There's Seen Unseen Disneyland and more Seen Unseen Disneyland.
Yes.
And
And
there's
now
no duplication.
Ooh, so I mean, now I want to get the more Seen Unseen Disneyland, because it was just so interesting because, spoiler alert, but lots of photos, very detailed, and it was really fun to kind of pause and take a look at these things. So we're really excited to chat with you more about the book. But before we get there, we just want to know what your Disney story is. So how did you kind of fall in love with either Disney or Disneyland? You can be as detailed as you like, or you can be as brief as you like. But how'd you get started?
So it actually goes way, way back. I did go to Disneyland when I was about 4 years old, but I don't remember it. My parents took me, don't remember it all. I do have photos. But when I started kindergarten, the lady that was babysitting me after school, because my mom was a working mom, she had a National Geographic, and it had these pictures about Disneyland. And, it had pictures of Pirates of the Caribbean and all this other stuff. And I asked her about it, and she started telling me about this show that it used to be on called The Mouseketeers. And she got me all excited about Disneyland. And so I asked my mom about it. And she ended up taking me, and we started going like every three-day holiday. We would go to Disneyland. So we lived on the Central Coast. It's about a 3.5 hour drive from where we lived. And we would go down, Friday or Saturday, depending on when the 3-day weekend started. The first day, we would normally do something like Movieland Wax Museum or something like that, because we didn't get there till, later in the day. And then the first full day, we would go to Disneyland. And of course, that was back in the ticket book times. Mm-hmm. So you had to bank, okay, so we're going to use one e-ticket for this and one e-ticket for that. And then we'll use the D-ticket for these. So that started my love of Disneyland. And then the third day, and sometimes the first day, we would go to Knott's Berry Farm too. So, and then we would drive home after 3 days. And we would normally do that like 3 or maybe 4 times a year. So I just grew up with Disneyland, and it was a fantastic thing. And then after I graduated high school, things kind of change. Maybe go once a year, and then it kind of falters off because you're going to college and all that stuff, and go once in a while. But then I met my wife, and she liked Disneyland. So we went to Disneyland a couple times before we got married. And then for our honeymoon, we went to Walt Disney World. Nice. So that was my first time there. And then we continue to go once in a while, but we didn't really go because by that time I had moved to Northern California. It's a 7-hour drive, or, back then a very expensive flight. But then we had our daughter, and we went in 93, and it wasn't the best trip because we didn't really plan it. So It was a good trip. I don't want to give you a bad impression, but it wasn't quite all it could be because we hadn't planned well enough. We didn't know what was what. We went in the middle of Mother's Day weekend, which was like 400 degrees. But we had a good time, and my wife and I discussed it. My wife had also grown up with Disneyland, so we wanted our daughter to experience that. And while we were there, one of the cast members told us about Christmas time. So we went the week after Thanksgiving, and we had the best time ever. We ended up buying annual passes. We bought one of those bricks that's out front that has everyone's names. Yeah. We have one of those bricks. And after that, we started going 2 times a year. We go spring break and Christmas, and it got into a cycle and continued until today,
Now, you got me thinking of a couple things. First of all, I want to say between your book and what you just said, you are like Mr. Nostalgia for me, because in the book, I found myself looking at the pictures. You have some pictures in here from the 50th anniversary, and that brought back a lot of memories because I thought the 50th anniversary was just amazing. And you reminded me of the trips that I had when I first went with my parents, or with my mom and my brother. And we would go down and we'd do very similar to you. We'd do like the Wax Museum or the Medieval Times. Depending on the trip, we'd either go to Universal or we'd take the drive down and go to the San Diego Zoo, which was also very cool. So I just feel like you're hitting a lot of points for me. I do have to ask, you said Northern California. Where in Northern California were you?
We live in Sacramento right now.
Oh, okay. Because I grew up in the Santa Rosa, Sonoma County area.
Okay, yeah.
So you said 7-hour drive. I'm like, yep. So, all right. Well,
but then again, you had the Snoopy Museum.
That's true, because Charles Schultz was from the area, and since, let's see, they have the airport, the municipal airport there now is named the Charles M. Schultz Airport, and then there's the Snoopy Ice Arena, and every small town they've got those statues that like people paint. We had Snoopies everywhere. So, and around here was like what were they around here? It was like the cranes. Yep. Cool. Well, when you go to Disneyland on the first day of a visit, which way do you go? Do you go left towards Adventureland, through the Castle to Fantasyland, right towards Tomorrowland?
We actually go to Frontierland and go to Big Thunder Mountain.
Ooh,
nice.
Good choice.
So when it's a family trip, of course, is what we're talking about here. So my daughter loves Thunder Mountain. We would go, and this started back with the old Fast Passes. So my wife would head to Tomorrowland and get us all Fast Passes for Space Mountain right off the get-go. My daughter and I would head into Frontierland, go to Thunder Mountain, and I don't think it's quite the same anymore, but back then you could get on an attraction, and if you came into the station and there was no one waiting, they would let you go again.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Cool.
So my daughter and I might go like 3 or 4 times, and then my wife would show up and we'd ride 1 or 2 more times, and then there'd be a crowd and we'd get kicked off.
I'll have fun.
It was very common for us to be able to ride it 3, 4, 5 times before we had to get off. You get a similar experience at the end of the day. We used to go to Splash Mountain, sad there, but we would go to Splash Mountain the last thing, because if you get wet, who cares? You go back to the hotel room.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so if they're closing at midnight, we might go at 11:50 and ride the attraction. And if we got back and there was no one there, you'd say, hey, can we go again? And they'd let you go. And so our record is 7.
Wow.
We went 7 times on Splash Mountain. We were soaked.
I was going to say, at a certain point, I guess it doesn't matter.
You just can't get any more soaked.
Yeah. Once you're wet, you're wet, you know?
Yeah. That's
that
so
might
funny.
be other than just being a little cold, that might be the way to do it, because then you can go back to the hotel and immediately get out of your wet clothing.
Yeah. And see, we would do that at the Christmas time too, because it is cold then, but you're going back.
Sure.
So we would just bundle up my daughter and I'd throw her on my shoulders and off we'd go home.
Too fun.
That's like a pro tip.
That is kind of a pro tip. You're right. So I love that so much. Moving on to the next question though. You gave me a question. I'm going to kind of ad-lib on the usual question. So
you're going to make me think.
Back when you were younger and you used ticket books, I want to know what your go-to e-ticket attraction was. What was that one that was like the one that ticket was just burning a hole in your pocket to use? What was your choice of e-ticket attraction with your ticket book?
It would still be the one today, which is Pirates.
Ooh.
Yeah, I had to go on Pirates.
Ooh.
But then, of course, there's also Matterhorn bobsleds and Space Mountain were also, and then Haunted were the basic 4 that, we always had to go on.
But Pirates has your heart and still has your heart, huh?
So when people ask me, Pirates is my favorite attraction, but Space Mountain is my favorite roller coaster type ride.
Yeah. There's a difference.
I can differentiate.
Yep.
Correct terminology, because they always say it's a roller coaster type ride in the dark with sudden drops and stops.
Now, if you want my scariest ride, That would have to be Mr. Toad. Because on that attraction one time, we had an in-attraction exit. I forget what the proper term is there.
Yep.
In-show exit, that's it. And I winged my head on one of the props. So that thing is dangerous. That is a dangerous ride.
Mind your head.
See, I feel like the Matterhorn is almost scary like that because Teresa did and I did. Mm-hmm. I got in-show exited from the Matterhorn and we went on there and I was like, oh, we get to go on the infamous elevator that's in here. And that thing was scary. It was so tiny. It was like 2 or 3 of us and then the cast member, and it was slow and it was creaky. And I was like, we're going to die.
Oh, so you actually got to walk off.
Yeah, we had gotten to the top and made it around like 1 or 2 corners. And then we hit a break zone and they just stopped. And then I guess the way they do it is they start at the top and they clear out everybody. They go down to clear out everybody. And so we're just sitting there and they came out and they're like, all right, stand here, stay there. They got everybody out and they said, follow me. And they went in and we went down this elevator. And then we came out and I was like, never even noticed there was a gate there. But now every time I walk by, I look for the gate because it looks like part of the fence. And there's like this little path that goes right on up and right past where you can see there's a little door to the elevator.
Yeah, isn't that kind of facing like the Alice in Wonderland attraction?
Yeah, definitely cool. Now, your book, first of all, I love a book with photos. Mm-hmm. Not because I don't want to read, but because a lot of times when people are describing something, I want to reference it right away. I don't want to have to go on the internet and look it up. And I feel like one of the big strengths for me for your book was the fact that there's a lot of photos. And when you describe things, I can immediately look at the photo and see what the heck you're talking about. So I really appreciate that. Plus you have just a ton of great photos in here. Now, I want you to tell the story. What kind of gave you the inspiration to write this? Or the idea?
Well, it was actually interesting because I take pictures. You know, I'm like taking pictures and stuff, and had no idea of doing a book. I'm just taking pictures at Disneyland. My family's always getting annoyed because I'm taking pictures. And we were actually going to Thunder Mountain, and they were ahead of me, and I saw this lady throw some garbage in a trash can there in Frontierland. It was right next to the Mark Twain. And it just struck me. And it's one of those things, you know, like you see something a million zillion times and then all of a sudden you notice it. Mm-hmm. And it struck me that the trash cans just aren't some green or gray or black trash can like most theme parks have. They're actually made to look like they belong where they're at. Mm-hmm. And for Frontierland, they're made to look like they're made out of wood. And so I noticed it when this lady was throwing some trash away. And so I stopped and took a picture of it and took a couple pictures. Then ran to catch up with my family. And then the rest of the day, I kept taking pictures of trash cans because I kept looking at them and like, they're all themed. Every single one of them. It's not just, yeah. And so my family didn't know what I was doing and I didn't know what I was doing, but it intrigued me that they were, you know, themed for the area they were in. And so it kind of got to be a running joke that day where my daughter kept saying, Mom, Dad's doing it again, you know, referring to the fact that I was stopping and, you know, taking these pictures of the trash cans and posing them and everything. And after that, when we got home, I got to thinking, you know, what else have I been missing? Mm-hmm. What else has been there this whole time that I have not seen? And so I started doing research, and then we would go to the park and I would take some pictures, and it, you know, I started researching were there other books like this? And, you know, there's books that have maybe a piece in them, but not like dedicated to this, to all the extra details that the Imagineers put into the parks to make it Disneyland and not just some other theme park. And so I kept taking pictures. After a while, I decided, you know, this could be a book. You know, I actually researched to see if, you know, there was books like this or anything, talked to some people, and they were encouraging of me. And so I decided to do that first book, Seen Unseen Disneyland. And the first picture in the book, besides the cover, obviously, is that trash can. That's the actual picture taken that day with the lady. And you'll notice it's framed wrong. It's cut off on the edge, you know, because I was in a hurry for that one. And I was trying to catch up with the family. So I did my best to straighten it and all that kind of stuff, but it's still not framed correctly. But I thought it was important for people to see the actual thing that started the journey. So when you look at that, that's why that picture is not the best of the pictures that are in the book.
But I love that you included it because, like you said, that was the inspiration, and that was the moment and the reason that kind of sparked and took you down this path. I think it's so cool. And
I don't think it's a badly composed photo at all, to be honest with you. I understand that maybe you'd want to get the second trash can fully in there or whatever, but I think it does its purpose. Mm-hmm. So I think you're a little too hard on yourself.
Well, thank you.
Plus, now it's got a great story behind it as to why it's not the full.
Yeah, and that's in there. So like you talk about, the pictures in there, but then the explanation of the picture, so they complement each other back and forth. The one criticism I get from the professionals that I've had review my book is they think there's too many pictures.
Oh, no.
But the big compliment I get from, the average fan is, I love it because, you get these books, and I don't want to name any specifics, but, you'll get a book on a certain topic about Disney, and they'll have like one picture, and then they'll have like 4 little bullets, and most of the page is empty, and, I tried to use every inch I could. Part of the crowding, for lack of a better word, is because of the size of the book. But I wanted the book to be a size where if you wanted to, you could carry it in your backpack and not be inconvenienced. Of course, I could go digital now, and I've been looking into that. But for right now, it's a size where you could throw it in your backpack and still go around. So I know there's people that have made games out of the book. They'll like look for a picture, and then they'll go find it, and then they'll read about the thing while they're there.
That's cool.
That is cool.
And things like that. Or they read about something and they want to go look at it, and they'll bring the book so they can read while they're there. Mm-hmm. So those type of things, make you feel good that people are using those books interactively. The one thing that annoys me about the pictures is the fact that, I have all these great pictures, and I swear Disney once a week gets my book and like flips through it, and this randomly sticks their finger in the book and then says, okay, that's getting removed this week. So
see, but now you have history, you have it cataloged, you have it documented.
Exactly. And I was actually talking to another author, and I was saying how frustrated I was with it, and that, it's going to basically make my book obsolete. And he goes, no, it's not. He goes, right now it's a topic book. As you move along through time, it becomes a history book, and people like history, and they're going to want that history.
Well, and then you can make another edition and sell a second copy because things have changed.
Third. We'd be on the third
copies,
one now because we have 2.
Yeah, so I have 2 right now. I'm actually working on DCA. It's a little more difficult because the park doesn't have the depth of history that the original park has. But
and they're
slowly
changing a lot
coming
of things
along.
too.
Yeah, and they keep changing stuff for the better. I actually like what they're doing with the park over there. Mm-hmm. One of our things was, when they made the first park, it was like, well, if I want to go to California, I'm here.
Right.
Right. But I want Disney, make it Disney, and which they have done now. But the other problem, of course, we got hit with COVID, and that shut down, except for online research, that shut everything down for a couple years, even be able to get into the park. So that set me back a little bit. And I don't want to make it sound like, oh, poor me. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just giving an explanation.
Yeah.
Obviously, people have had much bigger tragedies. And
right.
You know what, though? I bet you your book brought a lot of joy to people because, I know we felt it, and and there's people that felt it harder than us because we live in the Midwest. So it wasn't like we go every weekend or stuff like that. But there, everyone just had this deep, sadness with the park being closed. And so a lot of people were going and kind of trying to find things like your book to kind of bring some of that magic and spark some of that joy. So I'm sure it brought a lot of happiness for people too.
I did. I actually reduced the price of the book. I did sell quite a few during that so that people, could do it.
Yeah.
And it's interesting you say that because from my point of view, people like you and your podcast help save people because they couldn't go, but they could go to the podcast and they could listen to them. I know you've had Lynn from the Sweet Spot on.
Oh, yeah.
All these different podcasts about Disneyland, I know just got eaten up by people that were looking for their Disney fix, as it were, and looking for some distraction, shall we say.
Yes.
We were really fortunate. Our community grew quite a bit during the pandemic, and it was nice because we would do our weekly recordings and stuff. We would stream those things during the pandemic so we could have time, and some real good friendships and stuff were built through that too. Like just, obviously a lot of tragedy and stuff comes from COVID, but also I think that there was kind of a silver lining in some aspects because, a lot of things have changed some for the better, some not. But the fact that it kind of spurred some change and spurred some stuff, I think was helpful. And like I said, our community is wonderful, and some people have made some really strong, great relationships stuff through it. And I'm still in awe of all of that. But yeah.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask, right? So there's the whole premise of the book, Seen Unseen Disneyland, in case we didn't I think we covered it, but just in case we didn't, is basically, like Russ said, it's kind of taking a moment, taking some time to kind of stop and appreciate all of the details. So is there something at the parks that every time you go, you have to kind of, like your favorite, do you have a favorite detail, I guess would be a good way of saying it? And it could be a group of details like, I love the trash cans. The trash can theming is so cool, or hidden Mickeys, or, whatever. Is there something that kind of you just are still kind of in awe about?
Well, the trash cans obviously hold a special place in my heart. And during the pandemic, I was going through pictures, and I found some old pictures my mom took of those times when I was going with my mom when I was younger.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I posed with a trash can.
It was like
I have
a shadow of the future.
Yeah, I have no idea. I don't remember the picture.
Destiny.
It's just me standing there with my arm, up again on the trash can, like you would be holding your girlfriend or something. And there's a trash can. And I have no idea. I posted on my Facebook one time and got a lot of laughs. But yeah, so I have no idea. So they do hold a special spot for me. But the one little detail I really like to see, and it's the last thing I normally look at before I leave, is Walt's apartment above the fire station. I always say goodbye to Walt and thank him each time. And then, of course, the other end of the trip is usually walking down Main Street and seeing the castle and, the classic welcome home. So those are the bookends for our trips normally.
Very nice.
I love that in here you have a section about hidden Mickeys. And I enjoy that through your descriptions that you kind of have the opinion, like Teresa and I have sometimes, that there's some controversy to some of these hidden Mickeys of whether people think they are hidden Mickeys or not. I do say that you have a line here that I enjoy. I leave it up to the reader to decide if either of these are a hidden Mickey. And the Matterhorn one, I never saw. Did you see this? I never saw this before, but I can see it
until now. Yep.
I won't give it away, but people should get the book just for this hidden Mickey on the Matterhorn.
Oh, that one, yeah.
That is so good. I'm going to have to pay attention next time we're there.
Yeah.
I've never gotten anyone to tell me that was intentional, but it is so clearly in that shape.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was a nice accidental on purpose thing. I don't know.
I was going to say, I don't know how many things are truly accidents.
Well, and the other thing is you have to keep in mind that angle is the only one you can see that. As you move left or right, those holes don't line up correctly. It's like at Ariel's. So I'll give you a little sneak peek here. At Ariel's, they have these lights that are above you and the inside queue. If you're in certain positions, the big light at the bottom lines up with two of the small lights at top, and it forms a hidden Mickey.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know if that was intentional, but it's very clearly in the right proportions. But you can only see it in certain positions. Otherwise, it's just, the four small bulbs with the one big bulb.
How do you, as you go through your photos and you're creating an edition of the book, how do you decide what to talk? Because there's you literally could spin in a circle and take a picture, and whatever picture you take, you could find some hidden detail of Disney. So how do you pick what to put in one of your books and to talk about?
So in the old days for me, like with the ticket book, you had to be very specific, and you had to pick your e-tickets. You had to pick and once you were out. That was it. You couldn't go again. That was the same of film back then. So you had a 12 shot or a 36 roll, and if the shot didn't come out, it didn't come out. Now with digital, fortunately, I'll go on a trip and I might take 1,000 pictures, but it might be, like if I'm taking a picture of a car, I might take 10, 15 photos of it. So, hopefully there's a good photo in there somewhere. But as far as what actually then makes it into the book, two things. One is space, obviously. So like the first one, when I did my first book, I had never done a book like this before, and I didn't know if anyone was going to buy it, and it was going to be my own investment, my own money and everything. So as you can see, the first book, well, you don't have the second book with you yet, but the second book is 1.5 times the size of the first one.
Oh, okay.
So the first one, I had to stop because, you have to stop at some point. But more importantly, I stopped because, I don't want to make it too big and have this $1 billion investment. And then I've got 500 books sitting in my garage.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I did the first one. I had enough for almost a second book still when I stopped and made the first one. The first one did really well, so I immediately started on the second one, took additional pictures, and like I said, it's 1.5 times the size of the original, and there's no duplication between the two. What actually gets into the book, and the bottom line is, what do I like? I am your average Disney fan, so the way I basically look at it is, if I like it, hopefully other people will like it, or if I find it interesting. So if I find a detail and it's like, I don't know. Or especially if I'm not really sure that's true.
Yeah.
I try to be very careful. One of the things in my books, if you look at the very back, I have a very in-depth index about the book and what my sources are. And I always try to double and triple source everything. The internet, unfortunately, kind of feeds on itself. So they all could be referencing each other. You still kind of get caught, but you have to go with what you can. So some of it is, can I verify it? If I can't verify it, it didn't make it in. So one of the things I encourage people to do is, if you look in the book, you'll notice there's endnotes on most of the pages. And if you go to those endnotes in the back of the book, it tells you my original source material. One, so if you wanted to learn more, you could go and look at those original source materials. Or two, if you don't believe it, you could go look at it and see if that changes your mind. I've only had a couple things challenged, and I've always been able to, use my sources to show that, yes, there is a reason to believe this is true. If there's doubt, you'll notice like the hidden Mickeys. I'll say, I leave it up to you to decide, or something of that nature. One of the things that got challenged is I do little quizzes. So I forget, yes. I think the first book has 6 quizzes in it, and they're in the endnotes. And one of the quizzes asks, what was Minnie Mouse's real first name?
Yes. Yep. I remember that.
Yeah. I had to look that one up because I was like, what was her real name?
So I found that in a reference and I put it in the book. Well, I was very fortunate that I was able to spend some time with Dave Smith from the archives before he passed away.
Yeah.
And he was very gracious in reviewing my first and second books.
Wow.
So he's actually looked at them. So I kind of think I'm on pretty good ground when Dave isn't telling you to change something.
Yeah, I'd say so. That's high honors there. Because if
but
something's not right. Oh, did he?
Yeah, he challenged me on Minnie Mouse.
Yeah.
So he said, I don't know that Minerva Mouse is her true first name. I've never heard that. I've never seen that. And so I dug through. I found I had my references for the original source material, which was a comic book. I then researched and found one on eBay, purchased it. It was in the comic book. I scanned the cover, the copyright page, and the page in question and sent those all to Dave. And he said, this is an official Disney publication, although it was done by a third party, but it was approved by Disney. Therefore, it is canon, and you are correct.
Wow.
So I was like, yes.
Wow. What a story to first of all, to have the honor of having Dave Smith look through your stuff and kind of what a wealth of Disney knowledge right there. And then the fact that he was like, I don't know. And then you were able to work together and he learned something new that day too. That's pretty what a good story.
If you look at the back, he actually is the first comment on the back of the book.
That's so cool.
I wanted to, you brought it up before I could mention it, but I did want to mention that the notes is great because you have links to websites even. So if I was so inclined, and the internet always changes, so who knows how many of these would actually still work today, but go on and you could pull up these things and you could go and see it for yourself. And I really enjoyed that. And like you said, for the Minnie Mouse one, you have 4 references here of showing that it was Minerva Mouse, because you have your comics reference, and then you've got 3 different links online to some different stuff about Minnie Mouse. So I don't know. I haven't seen that a lot in books, and I really enjoyed it. And I like the fact that you have references, and I like that you quiz people. And I can tell you from our show having trivia, it's very difficult to fact check because one website might say one thing, another website might say, and then like who do you believe over things? You know, it's very challenging. I would not want to be in that job of having to fact check.
It's very difficult, and you know, it's like stuff like people that say there's still a skeleton on the pirates, and that's you know, it's divisive. There's actually people that like get angry at each other, like, yes, there are, no, there's not. And of course, there actually really were skeletons back in the day. They borrowed them from UCLA. They didn't have the technology to make realistic skeletons. The attitudes were different back then, so they actually did use real skeletons. But eventually, they were all returned to UCLA. But there's that one that everyone's like, oh yeah, the headboard. It's absolutely real. And I was fortunate enough to talk to one of the Imagineers who was in charge of Disneyland back in the 70s. And I don't have permission to use his name, so I'm not going to. Yep. But I asked him about that. And I said, is it or isn't it? You know, is it still a real one? He says, well, let me put it to you this way. Can you imagine the backlash we would get if people actually proved there was a skeleton in that attraction, and how people would react to Disney's living on the back of someone who passed away? You know, how dare they? Yeah, you know, that would be such bad PR. He goes, absolutely, there's nothing there anymore. There were, but no. And you know, maybe he was wrong too. Who knows? But you know, he was in a position to know, and he says no. That is absolutely a redone skeleton that looks like the original.
And there Russ is, again, feeding into the reality of the situation that the things that are in our attractions are not the originals. Yeah. Teresa and I had this moment because we reported on one of the Van Eaton galleries.
This was a couple of years ago.
Yeah, and we were like, they have stretching room portraits on here.
It was like it was like the original stretching room portraits were like,
what do you mean?
Those are still in the mansion. What do you mean those?
Yeah.
How are they selling Jose? And, you know, whatever.
And then
it was just so funny. And then it's like.
Yeah, it never dawned on us. Then all of a sudden we're like, well, I guess they'd probably swap these things out. So like, now.
Oh, that makes total sense that it's not the same ones, that they just replace these things after a while. It's not like they keep
and the original ones, like when you see those auctions, they say the original. Those are probably not even the original, because the originals. Those things get wearing out every 2 or 3 years, and they replace them every 2 or 3 years. So the original, I would guess, are probably somewhere in the archives. Just like when you go and see the Snow White statues in the grotto, those are not the originals.
Right.
Those are over at Imagineering right now in one of their archives. But
I did not know this. What is reality? I was
castle's still that's the same castle.
I was joking with Teresa that when they repainted the castle, there was a shot somewhere that like they had replaced a section of stonework, and I'm like, who's to say that any of it's original anymore? Like, I like to think walking down Main Street that like there are things there that Walt had touched that, you know, it's been painted over 100,000 times since then, but still, right? And then after all of this, I'm just like, is any of it real?
Well, I will say I was fortunate enough to go to Walt's barn on a tour one time, and they have under glass a bunch of his tools that he used to work on his home railroad. Oh. And they're the original tools. I mean, there's been no changes to them. And we each got to hold one of his pliers. I have a picture of me holding it. So that was actually something Walt touched and held. Mm-hmm. Even if the wood was replaced, it was still the original head on it, which from the look of it, it's the original wood. But I know what you're saying, because like one of the things I mentioned in my book is people go around and they look at all the light poles. And especially like New Orleans, and they're like, oh yeah, you know, these are the original from back when they built it. Go tap on them. They're plastic. They're not the original metal ones. I'm sorry to say. They're not the original, but they're made to look just like them. And you know, things wear out. You know, Disney's famous for being clean, and every night they go out there with hoses and they hose down all the walkways. Well, that water is destructive, especially against metal and wood. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And so a lot of that stuff that's at ground level has all been replaced because of just normal wear and tear of, you know, getting water on it every day. And so one of the solutions, and it was actually the same Imagineer that came up with this one, was the light posts. They changed them to a plastic so that they didn't rot. They just have to keep painting them and they look good.
That's crazy. That's so wild.
You say this and it makes 100% sense, but there's a part of my brain that is just like, what?
What's real? Nothing.
Yeah, nothing's real.
I'm like, what is any of this real anymore?
But, I really appreciated that you did that, because there's a couple of things in here that were kind of those back and forth controversial things that I had heard very loudly, yay, loudly, nay. So I really appreciated that you fact check and kind of like set the record straight on some of these things. The big one for me, I won't give too much away. I'll just say what the thing was the keel boat that's in the rivers of America. And I was like, see, this is perfect. Spells it out, easy peasy, done, because there's a lot of back and forth on if it's the original or not. So I
You're talking about the one that's there right now?
Yes.
Yeah, no, yes. Unfortunately it's not. They pulled it out of the water. It was on the north side of the island. They pulled it out, and that one is a concrete replica.
Yep, which makes sense.
A concrete replica even.
Yeah.
Well,
so
again,
rot.
It's water. Like, it's just sitting in water, so it would just have deteriorated with time because
the boat that they sank there was in pretty bad shape, I understand. I've never seen it, but I understand sitting in that water for so long, it was not healthy.
There may not have been a bottom half to it.
Okay, so we argue with people. I argue with people sometimes about that. I want like a backstage tour because I don't think it would like ruin the magic for me. You know what makes me sad? The stupid thing's concrete.
Well, that's the magic of it, Tag. You think it's a wooden boat.
I'm going to go knock it on light poles in New Orleans Square and be like, it's plastic. Anyway, sorry. I just, sometimes like your brain.
That's the beauty of Disneyland. Like, you fully are immersed and you just buy into it. You just believe it. Like, we thought for sure that Jose had been there for however many years the tiki room had, like that was they just had to redo his feathers every once in a while.
The lady in the video that Walt shows when they're putting the feathers together, that lady built what's in there today. Yeah.
But it is.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's original. It's just, things change over time.
Exactly.
Things need maintenance, unfortunately, things wear out. If you want to see something original, go to the Jungle Cruise. And to the right side of the entrance, there in between Jungle and Indy, is a tree. And that's one of the original trees that was on the property when they bought all the property.
The Dominguez tree, right?
Yes. Honestly, that is just amazing to me that tree predates the park itself. And
it's still doing well.
And it's still doing well. It looks like it's still, I'm no tree expert, but it looks like it's healthy and then it's doing, and then it's thriving.
Yep.
I don't want to think of the day when that tree is at the end of its life cycle, because I think that would be terrible. It's going to be very, very sad. But that tree is amazing to me. And they even built the extended queue for Jungle Cruise kind of around it to make sure that they didn't impede on the tree space. Other trees, they would have just moved them.
It's all right, Teresa. Just remember, if it dies in the middle of the night, they will replace it with a plastic one and we will have no idea.
Well,
I'm scarred now.
There is some controversy about whether it's in its original spot or whether it got moved at some point, but it is the original tree.
It is the original tree. But at least I'm saying at least recently, when they more recently extended the queue out, I don't think it got moved. They
didn't move it again.
Yeah, right, exactly. They built around
probably
it.
Don't want to tempt fate.
No, I wouldn't want to tempt fate. That's for sure.
Well, we had so much fun talking with Russ that we will finish our conversation with him next week.
Please remain seated until the podcast comes to a complete stop and the doors have opened. Then collect your belongings, watch your head, and step carefully from the episode. On behalf of all of our crew, thanks for traveling with us. And we hope you have a happy and memorable visit here at DL Weekly.
Hello and welcome back to Trivia Land. I had high hopes for you two, but I got you on at least one.
You're still on this.
I'm still on it.
Okay.
All of a sudden, whispering, the canoes is the same spot.
It's a good, thoughtful question, right? What actually takes you where? But that's our last answer this week. We're going to start at the beginning where we asked, in an area of Tarzan's treehouse, 2 animated film characters are visiting who? Teresa guiding the right path Chip and Mrs. Potts.
Started strong, Tag.
Yep.
Because after all, they made an appearance in the film as well, so it just makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So
I still have never seen Tarzan.
Oh, Tag.
we'll fix that. Our second clue was an audio hint, and I was looking for the attraction, which you did correctly guess as Splash Mountain.
Woohoo.
Well, it helped that everybody has a laugh in place was towards the end of it.
Mm-hmm. I figured, just in case you're going to get there, should help you out a little bit. Our third question, there's a hidden reference in plain sight at Big Thunder Mountain's entrance. There you'll find a notice signed by Willard P. Bounds, U.S. Marshal, who is a tribute to. The notice, to be specific, is documents related to the certificate of compliance for this attraction may be viewed at City Hall in Town Square. I'll give you a hint. Willard P. Bounds had a daughter whose first name was Lillian.
Oh.
It is Walt's father-in-law, a.k.a. Lillian's father.
Oh.
Wow.
He was a blacksmith and a U.S. Marshal in Idaho. The character Willard P. Bounds related to this blacksmith in Frontierland in Rainbow Ridge, Arizona. So
Interesting. Okay.
Wow.
Yep. Definitely learned something new today. I did not know that. Very cool.
Yeah, I don't know anything about Lillian's family.
yeah. So there's a good one for you.
That's really neat.
And our last question, what rides at the Disneyland Resort serve the purpose as transportation vehicles? Thanks to Devin D for sending this one in. We had a list of 7. You gave me 6. And that's good enough for a point for me because that last one definitely takes a little bit of thinking. So the 6 you gave me, Mickey and Friends Tram, the monorail, the Main Street vehicles, the Disneyland train/railroad, rafts to Tom Sawyer's Island. Well done on that one, Teresa. I thought that would be the one missed. The red car trolley, and the Toy Story parking lot buses.
Oh.
Are kind of buses?
They are transportation vehicles.
Transportation vehicles.
So that's why I'm like, close enough. Y'all did a really good job on that one.
The buses. The stinking buses. It had to be buses.
Thanks to Devin for submitting a trivia question for us this week. We've had a couple more come in, and we're looking forward to asking those in future shows. And you can add your name onto the list as well. Just send producer Vern and I an email. It's trivia@dlweekly.net.
Well, we will be back next week with more Disneyland news and information.
Until then, go out and enjoy the parks.
Please remain seated until the podcast comes to a complete stop and the doors have opened. Then collect your belongings, watch your head, and step carefully from the episode. On behalf of all of our crew, thanks for traveling with us. And we hope you have a happy and memorable visit here at DL Weekly.